All right, let's review this book. So this is a review of A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. It's book 2 in the Shades of Magic series, and I'm going to start out by telling you the plot of the first book because I guess that matters when you're talking about the second book in a series. So the basic concept of this book series is that there's 3 different Londons, and they're kind of like stacked on top of each other, and there used to be a 4th one, but it's not important anymore. Or it might be important. It might be important in the 3rd book, which I haven't read, but it certainly hasn't been very important yet. So you have Black London, which is the one I just talked about. Then there's White London, which is where all the evil magic is, and everything is white. And then there's Grey London, which is our world, because it's sad and grey and colorless, and they have no magic. And then there's Red London, which is nice and pretty, and they have magic there. In the first book, you have your protagonist, Kel, and he's a rare kind of magician called an Antari, and he has a very cool, completely black eye, and then he has like a normal, like, blue eye, and he has bright red hair. He's very distinctive and cool, and he has a coat that when he turns it inside out, it's a different coat. But it's, like, magical, so it's, like, multiple coats. And he's the adoptive son of the royal family in this country or empire. I think it was an empire, the name of which I forgot. So he was adopted by the royal family, and he has this brother called Rai, or Ri. I can't tell. I'm gonna say Rai because that's one of my favorite breads. So Rai is a frisky boy, and he is raunchy but responsible, and he's the crown prince, of course, because he has the royal blood, even though he's younger than Kel. And I think he's younger, but he and Kel are, like, best buddies, even though Kel has this inferiority complex, because his parents act like he's, like, less, important than their biological son, who is going to be king. This is explored in book 2. Kel is the only one who can travel between the Londons. He sometimes, like, trades items between them, so, like, people from, like, our world want, like, magical items and stuff like that, so he brings those to them for a price because it's fun for him, even though he has, like, no real want of money because he lives in a palace and is part of the royal family. He just does it for funsies. So one day he ends up with this magical pebble. It is evil and magical, and, when he's in Grey London, this girl, Lila Bard, steals the rock from him. So she's like this cross-dressing pickpocket who has bigger dreams than being a cross-dressing pickpocket. She wants to be a feared and respected pirate captain. And she kills people sometimes, but, like, sometimes she has guilt, so it's okay. Kel chases her, and they end up in her room at the inn, and she ties him to her bed. And then she uses the magical rock, because anybody can use it because it's so powerful. And she summons a clone of him and then makes him strip in front of himself. Like, she makes the clone strip. And that's honestly kind of messed up. People from White London, that's the right one, want this rock. There's some evil twins there. And so, like, Lila and Kel, they end up working together to protect the rock. There's something to do with the rock. Anyways, there's this other Antari guy called Holland, and I think he dies at the end. He doesn't do very much in the first book, but he comes back in the second book, even though you think he's dead. The fate of the pebble is ultimately sort of, I don't know, maybe it'll be important in the 3rd book, because it hasn't been that important in the 2nd book. End of the book, Kel ends up back in his own Red London, and Lila's there too. And she likes Red London better than her own London, because the opportunities to be a pirate seem more, like, fun there. Yeah, so then the 2nd book happens, and Lila now works on a pirate ship. She got there by killing a guy who used to work on the pirate ship, but it's okay that she killed him because he was stealing from the captain. The captain is Alucard, his name is inexplicably Dracula backwards. This is never explained or referenced in the book. And his personality traits are being mysterious, attractive, gay, and having a cat. He's also very good at magic, and he's teaching Lila how to do magic. And so in the meantime, Rai and Kel both have depression because of the fallout of the first book, And Rai is currently in charge of setting up the Triwizard Tournament, although it's not called that, it's called the Element Games, and it's like their Olympics. They have it once every 4 years or so. And so the 3 empires are competing. So there's the country that, the empire that Rye is from, that like Rye and Kel are from. And I do not remember the name of this empire. It started with an A, I think. Alternia. And then there's Vesk, which is sort of like Nordic or Scandinavian, and everybody there is like huge and ripped and scary. And then there's Faro, which is, I think it's supposed to be Africa, because it is where black people live. So neither of these countries are really culturally fleshed out at all. They're just kind of there to make the book happen, I guess, to make the tournament happen. And so, you're thinking, a tournament? That sounds cool. I can't wait to read about a tournament. I bet this will affect the plot in very interesting ways. The actual tournament takes place in the last 100 pages of the book or so, and takes about 50 pages, and does not end up being very important at all. So Rye and Kel are planning Kel's entrance into the tournament because Rye wants Kel to be less depressed and thinks that a little healthy competition will be a good way to do that. Cool. But since he's part of the royal family, they're like, maybe he should go as like a fake name. So he wears a suit of armor and a helmet, and he competes like that, and I don't remember what his fake name was. But Lila also finds out about the tournament because Alucard is going to compete, and she really wants to be part of this tournament too, so she attacks one of the competitors, steals his clothes and his residence, and she puts him on a boat to another country in a crate with holes in it. This is not really questioned in the narrative. It's fine because Lila did it, and she's a main character. So while this is happening, over in White London, Holland is still alive, and there are about 3 chapters of this entire 500-page book devoted to what's going on in the other London. So Holland has been possessed by Osaron, who is this, like, mysterious and dark being. I don't really know what his importance is yet. I think that's in the 3rd book. But Osaron basically says, Holland, I will give you your body back if you find me another body. So Holland tells his underling Oika, who is one of 2 female characters in this book, to go kidnap Kel, because Kel would make an excellent body for Osaron. This subplot seems like it's going to be very important, but it's only set up for the 3rd book. So basically nothing happens with this subplot until the last, 100 pages or so. Once again, the first 400 pages of this book are not important aside from the interpersonal drama, which I will get into now. So Lila and Kel, they have some drama. They kissed once in the 1st book. And so Lila does not reveal that she's back in Red London because, their pirate ship comes in. And she does not interact with Kel in any way, and in fact tries to avoid him, whereas Kel is constantly thinking, God, I wish I could see Lila again. I don't really know what he sees in her or what she sees in him. So then there's also Rye and Alucard's drama, which is not very important to this book, but basically Alucard and Rye used to be dating. This is not very much explained, other than that Alucard broke Rye's heart once in the past when they were young and blissful. So Alucard's supposed to be nobility, I think. He has a sister who he interacts with once when Lila is following him around. I'm not really sure what impact this man has on the plot besides teaching Lila how to do things, actually. Maybe he'll do things in the 3rd book, which I don't know if I'll read or not. I don't think I'll like it very much. So, there's also stuff like preparing for the tournament, but none of this is very important because I don't remember any of it. So toward the end of the book, the tournament starts to happen, and Lila is competing as this man who she attacked and stole from. So Lila's deal is that she's not like other girls, and I don't mean this in oh, I don't like it when female characters aren't, super feminine. I mean it in a way where she literally tells you this every 5 pages in the narrations. There's a scene where she's shopping with Alucard, and he's like, most girls covet dresses, when she picks up a knife or something. I don't really remember. And then she's like, well, I'm not like most girls. And this kind of thing happens every 10 pages. She's constantly just talking about how she's never related in her life to another woman. And this isn't really explored as a character flaw or anything. there's not really any attention given to the fact that Lila seems fundamentally incapable of connecting with other human beings or having empathy for them. And there's this one scene where, like during the tournament, where she's fighting against a woman from Vesk, which is where everybody is huge and shredded. She makes some comment about this woman, like, oh, I could, like, hardly tell whether it was a man or a woman. That's so callous to me. Like, the author really spends this many pages setting Lila up as this, like, non-traditionally feminine girl. And yet, when she encounters another woman who isn't conventionally feminine, her reaction is to be like, I could hardly tell. And in another fight with Lila, she beats somebody from Pharaoh, which is where black people are. This is like the only characterization of this country, is that they're like black and mysterious. So she fights this man, and so she unlocks some hidden power within herself, like halfway through the fight. It was something like that. And she wins the fight with this magic, and she's accused of cheating by this other man. Later that night, I think, or like the next night, I don't remember, she's attacked by this man and his entourage, because they're accusing her of cheating, and they, you know, beat her up and put her in a box and put her on a ship. This is like her getting a taste of her own medicine or whatever, except that this is treated as different because they didn't put holes in the box. But like, instead of this being like an, oh shit, I've been really bad to people moment, she just breaks out of the box using magic, and then goes and slits their throats in their beds. And only, like, one paragraph is devoted to her killing these guys in their beds. And, like, she feels no remorse over this. No nothing. And, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, that's, like, really messed up. Like, writing a white woman being, like, attacked by 3 black guys and then having her murder them without any remorse. Like, I don't know, I feel like when you're writing fantasy, sure, that's not real life that you're writing about, but you gotta think about the implications of these things, dude. That's messed up. Which leads me to talk about how the people from these other empires are treated. Like, the people from Vesk are supposed to be, like, Scandinavians or, like, Nordic people, but they're also described as being super tan, and, like, they're not really afforded any sort of, like, humanity. None of the people from these other empires are given any actual characterization. Like, they're just props for the people from us to fight against. But this book was 500 pages long. Like, she really could have devoted some time to that. And then the people from Pharaoh, they're supposed to be, like, African people, although they mostly have, like, blue or green eyes. Obviously, in real life, there are people of color with features like that, but when it's the norm in your fiction, like, that's kind of messed up. The implication of that is that people of color are somehow not interesting looking enough without, like, features associated primarily with white people, or that you need these features to, like, tell them apart from each other. And it's really common, especially in visual media. There's a lot of characters out there that have, like, dark skin and, like, light colored eyes or, like, red or blonde hair. And, like, I know that that's a pre-existing trope, but it feels like it's not questioned at all. Like, why is it that we white authors and white creators, like, why are we more likely to give people of color features that we associate with white people? Let's move forward. This book is not satisfying. Anyways, eventually Kel gets kidnapped by Oika, and then some stuff happens. I don't really remember, and then Kel fights Holland and Oseron, but then Lila's like, I'm gonna go rescue Kel, because, you know, he's in, like, White London now, and then the book ends. The tournament was completely unimportant. I don't actually remember who won. And this book was, like, way longer than it needed to be. Oh, I forgot. There was this entire subplot where Kel gets arrested by his father because of the interpersonal family drama. And, like, I don't know, it leaves you with this impression of, like, what's the point? What's the point of reading this? What's the point of book 2? I don't care about these people. They're boring. Do better.